campers, it's Apple Brown Betty from Camp Wannakiki. Welcome to the Crafty Beaver Corner. Now today I'm coming to you from my home because the arts and crafts cabin is under quarantine. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a face mask. Now a few weeks ago when they first announced all the social distancing due to coronavirus, my Aunt Becky down in Louisiana said to me I should make face masks. She knows how I like to sew, and so she sent me a few links which I thought were super interesting, but I thought, I don't know if I'm going to be very good at the face mask making business. I mean, first of all, I don't have a lot of time on my hands. I am a busy, modern woman. And B, I don't know the first thing about what kind of fabric to use. I mean, who has N95 rated fabric laying around the house? I shop the clearance aisles at Joann's, and they don't exactly have that label on the displays there. But fast forward a few weeks, and now I suddenly find myself with loads of time, and they said any fabric is better than nothing. So I am here today to show you how to make an easy face mask. Now, I recently made this dress I am wearing, and I happen to have some scrap fabric around, so I'm going to make a matching face mask. Now, I suppose you could wear any old frumpy mask. I mean, if you're going to the store, no one's gonna really recognize you with your face all covered up. And besides, they shouldn't be standing that close to you anyway. Back up, bitch. But, however, sometimes a girl wants to be fashionable, and so you want a coordinating face mask. I mean, why not? Now, as a practice run a few days ago, I made this mask to match my little ladybug dress that I have. And I used some of the guidelines and some of the videos that I saw on YouTube and made some alterations for my face and everything. It ended up being a little too small, so it's kind of snug, and I made some further alterations. So the point is, if at first you don't succeed, try again, because everybody's face is different, and some of the materials that you have on hand might also be different. So, today, I have this fabric, and as you see, it matches the dress I have now. And I have two pieces of this fabric measured 11.5 inches by 7 inches. You'll also need some elastic. Now, every home crafter in the universe is now making face masks, so I couldn't even find elastic on Amazon. However, I found these hair bands at the dollar store, and it's 15 of them for $1, and they are stretchy, but they're not super soft and super stretchy. So what I did is that's why I made my mask a little wider, because you don't want the elastic to be so tight that it's uncomfortable to wear and you don't wear it. So I made this mask a little wider because my elastic bands are going to be a little bit shorter. Also, this mask I'm going to make with a pocket in it because this fabric is pretty thin, as you can see. It's also stretchy. This isn't quite the tight woven cotton fabric that they recommend. This is more sheer and see-through, you know, like Cherry Pie's granny panties. But if this is what you have, this is what you have. But this particular design, I'm going to put a pocket in it so you can add a coffee filter on the inside of it to give that extra layer of protection. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to lay your fabric right sides together. Okay, so now this twist tie is a handy dandy little thing because if you put this on the top of your mask, this will allow you to contour it to your nose so that the air doesn't come in from the outside. So this is just a little bit more protection to cover your face. This came off of a loaf of bread, but sometimes you find this in the produce department when you buy your vegetables in a bag and stuff, but don't go stealing them all, okay? It's not like toilet paper. So we're gonna put this on the top of the fabric and mark about a 1/2 inch on the outside of either side of the twist tie. We will add this later. Now the next thing you want to do is you want to take your hair bands and just snip them in half. You're going to need 2. You got 2 ears after all, right? Well, some of you only have 1 ear, I don't know. Just Van Gogh with it. Anyway, so I'm going to sew this into the corner of the fabric. So open up your fabric, and I like to put this at a diagonal. Take your needle and thread and just sew this on. I'm just gonna do a couple of stitches real quick. And this is just gonna reinforce it so that when I do this on the sewing machine later, it doesn't slip around and slip inside. You want this to stay in place. Now this elastic is really hard, so I'm gonna use the table as a little helper. All right, so just tie that off. Okay. Now, when you're going to the other side with your band, you want to make sure that you keep it straight so it doesn't get all twisted. And you want to pull it to the other corner, again at a diagonal, as you see. Put the other piece of fabric over it, and then just sew a couple stitches in here. And again, this is just going to hold it in place. Now, you'll see that the band is narrower than the fabric, so it'll just sort of flop around like that. That's fine, you just leave it like that, and then you want to do the same thing on the other side. Now again, you're doing this on the narrow ends of the fabric, so you want to end up with a band on both sides. Okay, so now that you have your elastic band sewn in all four corners, you start to have what looks like a mask. What you need to do now is you need to sew this bad boy together. And you want to start at your mark right here and go all the way around to where you have the mark here that you made earlier. And that's going to leave you an opening for the twist tie, but also to put your filter in. Okay, now once again you want to start where you put that mark earlier. Back stitch. You want to reinforce the corner, so when you get to the corner over the elastic, go back and forth a couple of times just to reinforce that band so it stays in place. It's going to have some tension on it, so you want to make sure that doesn't pop out. Alright, so here you have it. Let's just trim up these edges here, all these threads. Now you've got it all sewn up, you want to take your mask and fold it right side out. Push it through. When you find the bands, because I did those at a diagonal, you can just pull the band a little bit to pull that corner out. Do that on all sides. And look at that. Almost there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this and I'm going to iron out the edges to get them nice and flat. You don't need to see that part because my ironing room is a mess. I'll be right back. Alright, so I've got my face mask all ironed out and ready for the next step. Now we're going to add our twist tie. So what you want to do with your opening you have at the top is you'll want to just sort of snug this twist tie in the crease you have there in your hemline. Fold that back over. It's going to be a little tricky with the sewing machine, but you want to then take your sewing machine and sew around the twist tie to secure that in place, and that's why we left a little bit of space on either side. And this one, since it's so close to the edge, you may just want to hand pump it a couple of times. And here you have it. Again, you want to be careful when you do that you're not sewing through both sides of the fabric. And you have now your little twist tie. So the next thing you want to do is you want to add the pleats. And now this is going to be helpful to make the mask stretch from your nose to under your chin, sort of like an accordion. And I usually just mark it right on the back of the fabric. Now your mask should be about 6.5 inches wide, which it is, and I'm going to mark 2 inches, 3.5 inches, and 5 inches down. So I make 2 marks, so 2, 3.5, and 5 inches down from the top. Now with those pleats, you're going to take both of those markings and you're just going to crimp it up and fold it up like this. And now when you hold that one down, take the next one and fold it up. And then you take the next one and you fold it up. And sometimes it takes a little practice. So let's do that again. Fold it up. So again, the marks that you made are the center of your creases. And there you have it. It should look something like that. You actually want to do this next to your iron, so you can iron it out and it'll stay in place, and then you want to pin it so everything is nice and neat when you sew it. And I'll be right back after I do that. Okay, so now I've ironed out my pleats and I've pinned each side with 3 pins. And I put the pins a little bit further back so that when I sew over them, I'm not going over the pins. Now, usually a sewing machine will be fine to go over the pins, but if you happen to break a needle at this time, Joann's might not be open, so all precautions. All right, now you want to put this with the pleats facing down, and that will prevent your sewing machine foot from getting caught in the pleats if you sewed it the other way. Back stitch, and then just stitch all the way up. Back stitch, and then the other side. So again, with the pleats going down, will just save you a little bit of headache if your foot gets caught in one of those pleats. Sew those pleats in place. All right, so all we're gonna do now is just trim these little threads here. Take out our pins. Let's see what we got. Look at that. Now, because this is not really that protective of a fabric, you can add things like coffee filters. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to fold it in half. I'm just gonna trim a little bit off the edge here so it fits better. And then just tuck that in here. Get in there, little bugger. And here we have our finished mask. So whether you're just hanging out by yourself in the backyard or taking a stroll down the street, always remember, safety first, but fashion second. Now, if you don't have a sewing machine or don't know how to sew and you want to make a simple, easy mask, then I'm going to include a link to the Surgeon General who amazingly made a mask out of rubber bands and an old t-shirt. So I'll put the link in the description. Super easy mask to do if you're just running out and running errands. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and found it helpful. My name is Apple Brown Betty from Camp Wannakiki. Make sure you're watching Camp Wannakiki on this YouTube channel. It's a drag competition where we took campy drag queens to a summer camp. Did all the fun stuff that we used to do as kids. It is a riot. It's like RuPaul's Drag Race meets Survivor meets Troop Beverly Hills, and you're gonna love it. You can even watch it while you're making some masks. Thanks for watching. Now you stay healthy and safe out there. Bye-bye.